Billionaire invited his childless ex-wife for Christmas to humiliate her. She showed up with quadruplets in a helicopter. Her hand flew to her mouth, but she couldn't stop the gasp that escaped. "Oh my God," she whispered. "4. There are 4 of them." Becca was screaming. Her voice echoed through the mansion, shrill and breaking. "Lawson, tell me right now. Are those your children?" Lawson Tate stood frozen by the window, his face drained of all color. His mouth opened and closed like a fish drowning in air. No sound came out. The 4 children stood in a perfect line in the foyer, snow melting off their matching Christmas coats. 4 identical faces, 4 pairs of brown eyes, all staring at the man who was supposed to be their father. The oldest boy spoke first. His voice was clear and steady, far too mature for 7 years old. "Our mom told us about you," Finn said. "She said you were too busy to be a father. She said we didn't need someone who didn't choose us." Ramona Monroe stood behind her children, calm as still water. She wore a cream coat that cost more than most people's cars. Diamond earrings caught the winter light streaming through the windows. She looked at Lawson with eyes that held no anger, no hurt, just a terrible, quiet certainty. "Hello, Lawson," she said softly. "Merry Christmas. I brought the grandchildren your mother never knew existed." But before we get to how a billionaire tech mogul ended up on his knees begging for forgiveness from 4-7-year-olds he abandoned before they were born, let me take you back to where this catastrophic Christmas really began. Because if you've ever made a decision you wish you could take back, if you've ever thought winning was more important than doing what's right, you need to hear this story. Hit that subscribe button right now, because what happens next will change how you see success forever. I'm Dr. Phillips, and this is a story about the most expensive lesson money can't buy. Now let me tell you about the text message that destroyed everything. 2 days before Christmas, December 23rd. Manhattan glittered below like scattered diamonds on black velvet. Lawson Tate stood on the balcony of his penthouse, 30 floors, above the city that never sleeps. Wind bit at his face, but he barely felt it. He was too busy savoring the taste of victory that hadn't happened yet. In his hand, a glass of whiskey. Macallan 25, $300 a bottle. He swirled it slowly, watching the amber liquid catch the light from inside his apartment. His phone sat on the glass table beside him, screen glowing with a sent message. "Come for Christmas, Ramona. See how well I'm doing without you. 7 years. It had been 7 years since she walked out of their marriage. 7 years since she stood in their modest Boston apartment, tears streaming down her face, and said the words that still burned in his memory. "I can't do this anymore, Lawson. You've chosen your company over everything else, over us, over any future we might have had." He'd been on his laptop when she said it, closing a merger. Singapore investors waiting on his response. He'd barely looked up. "Can we talk about this later? This deal is time sensitive." She'd packed a bag that night. By morning, she was gone. Divorce papers arrived 2 weeks later. Lawson smiled at the memory now. Look at him. Look at what he'd built. Tate Venture, his tech investment firm, was worth $4.7 billion. Billion, with a B. Offices in 14 countries. Forbes put him on their cover last year. "The man who sees the future," the headline read. Ramona couldn't handle his ambition back then. She wanted dinner together every night. She wanted weekends. She wanted him to choose her over conference calls and investor meetings. She didn't understand that building an empire required sacrifice. Well, tomorrow she'd see exactly what she'd given up. Lawson imagined it perfectly. Ramona would arrive at his mother's Connecticut estate, wearing clothes from Target or wherever struggling people shopped. Her hair would be dull. She'd look tired. Maybe she'd put on weight. 7 years of regret and mediocrity would show on her face. And standing next to him would be Becca, 29 years old. Blonde hair that fell in perfect waves. A body she maintained with a personal trainer 4 days a week. A smile that never asked difficult questions. Ramona would see them together. She'd see the ring he was planning to give Becca. 8 carats. $60,000. A ring that announced to the world that Lawson Tate had won everything. The sliding door opened behind him. Becca stepped onto the balcony wearing one of his shirts and nothing else. Her legs were long and tan even in December. Spray tan. She'd told him that. He didn't care. "Baby, come back inside. It's freezing." She wrapped her arms around him from behind. "What are you thinking about?" "Tomorrow," he said, "just making sure everything's perfect." You still haven't told me who this mystery guest is. She rested her chin on his shoulder. You're being so secretive. Lawson turned to face her. She was beautiful. Objectively, mathematically beautiful. Symmetrical features. Clear skin. Blue eyes that looked at him like he hung the moon. Someone from my past, he said. Someone who needs to see how things turned out. Becca pouted. It was supposed to be cute. That's not an answer. You'll meet her tomorrow. He kissed her forehead. Don't worry about it. Her? Becca's eyes narrowed slightly. An ex-girlfriend? Ex-wife, actually. Becca pulled back. You're inviting your ex-wife to Christmas? While I'm there? It's not what you think. Lawson set down his whiskey and took both her hands. Ramona and I haven't spoken in 7 years. My mother asked if she could invite her. For closure or whatever. It'll be fine. This was a lie. Helen hadn't asked to invite Ramona. Lawson sent the invitation himself from his mother's phone. But Becca didn't need to know that. I don't know, Becca said. It's kind of weird. Hey, Lawson tilted her chin up. You have nothing to worry about. Ramona is my past. You're my future, okay? She smiled. The concern evaporated from her face like it had never existed. Okay. They went back inside. The penthouse spread out around them. Floor-to-ceiling windows, minimalist furniture, everything in shades of gray and black and white. It looked like a magazine spread. It was supposed to. Lawson had bought this place 3 years ago. $2 million. He'd gutted it and spent another $1 million on the renovation. The kitchen had marble countertops he never cooked on. The dining table sat 12 people who never came over. The master bedroom had a view of Central Park that he rarely noticed anymore. Becca went to the bedroom. Lawson poured himself another whiskey. He walked through his apartment, turning off lights, checking that everything was in its place. In his study, he paused. On the desk sat a small velvet box. Inside, the engagement ring. $60,000. 8 carats. Flawless clarity. He'd planned it perfectly. Christmas dinner at his mother's house. The whole family gathered. Good food. Expensive wine. And then, in front of everyone, he'd get down on one knee. Becca would cry. His mother would cry. His sisters would clap. And Ramona would watch. She'd see the ring that cost more than their entire wedding had. She'd see the beautiful woman wearing it. She'd see the life Lawson built without her. She'd understand that leaving him was the biggest mistake of her life. Lawson snapped the ring box shut and put it in his jacket pocket. Tomorrow. Everything would happen tomorrow. He slept well that night. Dreamless. Peaceful. The sleep of a man who believed he'd already won. Christmas Eve morning. The Bentley navigated through snowy Connecticut roads. Lawson sat in the back, Becca beside him. His driver, Marcus, a quiet man in his 50s who'd worked for Lawson for 3 years, kept his eyes on the road. It's so pretty out here, Becca said, looking out the window. All the trees covered in snow. It's like a movie. She'd been talking nonstop since they left the city. Nervous chatter. Lawson had learned to tune it out. He made appropriate sounds at appropriate intervals. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. She didn't seem to notice he wasn't really listening. His phone buzzed. A text from his younger sister, Andrea. Mom says your mystery guest is coming at noon. Who is it? You're driving us crazy. He typed back. Patience. You'll see soon enough. Another text, this time from Paige, his other sister. If this is some weird power play, I'm going to kill you. Paige always saw through him, even when they were kids. She had a way of looking at him that made him feel transparent. He didn't respond to her message. The Bentley turned onto a private road. Bare trees lined both sides, their branches heavy with fresh snow. At the end of the long driveway sat the house. Estate, really. His mother's pride and joy. Helen Tate had bought it 15 years ago with money from her late husband. His life insurance and her own retirement from the federal bench. 20 acres of Connecticut countryside. A restored colonial with 12 bedrooms, original hardwood floors, and a ballroom she used for charity events. Today, every window glowed with warm light. Garlands wrapped around every column. A wreath the size of a tire hung on the front door. The Bentley stopped in the circular driveway. Marcus opened the door. Cold air rushed in. Thank you, Marcus, Lawson said. You can head back to the city. I'll call when we need you. Actually, sir, your mother asked if I'd stay. She's having all the staff here for Christmas dinner. Lawson paused. He hadn't known that. But fine. Whatever made his mother happy. Of course. Enjoy. Marcus nodded. His face never changed expression. Lawson sometimes wondered what the man thought about. 3 years of driving him everywhere, and Lawson didn't know if Marcus had kids, a wife, what he did when he wasn't working. He'd never asked. Becca wobbled on her high heels across the snowy driveway. She wore a tight red dress and a white fur coat. Real fur. Lawson had bought it for her last month. $4,000. She looked like she was going to a nightclub, not a family Christmas. But she was beautiful. That was what mattered. The front door opened before they reached it. Helen Tate stood in the entrance, elegant in a burgundy dress. At 65, she still had the bearing of the federal judge she used to be. Straight spine, sharp eyes, a smile that could be warm or withering depending on what you deserved. Lawson, darling. She kissed his cheek. Her perfume smelled like jasmine and old money. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Mom. Helen turned to Becca. And you must be Becca. Welcome. Come in before you freeze. Thank you so much for inviting me, Mrs. Tate. Becca's voice went up an octave when she was nervous. Your home is absolutely gorgeous. Please, call me Helen. Come in, both of you. The inside of the house smelled like cinnamon and pine. A Christmas tree stood in the main hall, at least 12 feet tall, covered in ornaments collected over decades. Lights twinkled. A fire crackled in the enormous fireplace. From deeper in the house, Lawson heard voices. Children laughing. His family was already here. They walked into the sitting room. Andrea stood by the fireplace, her husband Wesley beside her. Their twin boys, Owen and Oscar, were 8 years old, currently wrestling on the carpet while wearing matching sweaters. Uncle Lawson. They both jumped up and ran over. Lawson high, fived them both. Hey guys, being good? Mostly, Owen said. Sometimes, Oscar added. Andrea hugged her brother. She was 36, a cardiac surgeon at Yale New Haven Hospital. She'd inherited their father's analytical mind and their mother's work ethic. She looked at Lawson the way she looked at EKG results, searching for problems beneath the surface. So, she said, mystery guest? Patience. Paige emerged from the kitchen carrying a tray of cookies. Her wife, Ruth, followed with mugs of hot chocolate. Paige was 33, ran an art gallery in Manhattan, and had never, not once in her entire life, pretended to be something she wasn't. She set down the cookies and gave Lawson a long look. Whatever you're planning, I hope it's worth it. I'm not planning anything, just a normal family Christmas. Right. Paige didn't believe him. She never did. Ruth hugged Lawson. Merry Christmas. Try not to cause any drama today, okay? Me? Cause drama? He pressed a hand to his chest in mock offense. Everyone laughed. Becca stood slightly apart, smiling but uncertain. She didn't know these people. Lawson hadn't brought her around much. Thanksgiving last year. A birthday dinner for his mother in the summer. She was arm candy. Decoration. She understood that without it being said. Helen clapped her hands. Everyone sit. We have about 45 minutes before our guest arrives. Lawson, help me in the kitchen for a moment? It wasn't a request. Lawson followed his mother through the formal dining room into the enormous kitchen. Copper pots hung from hooks. A ham sat on the counter, waiting to go in the oven. The air smelled like brown sugar and cloves. Helen turned to face him. Her expression shifted. The warm hostess disappeared. The federal judge appeared. What are you doing, Lawson? I don't know what you mean. Don't insult my intelligence. You invited Ramona. Not me, you. I saw the sent message on my phone. You used my contact information to send her that invitation. Lawson should have known. His mother missed nothing. I thought it would be nice. Nice. Helen's voice could have cut glass. You haven't spoken to that woman in 7 years. You had your assistant tell her you wanted no contact when she tried to reach you after the divorce. Now suddenly you want her at Christmas? People change. Time passes. Maybe I want closure. Or maybe you want to show off. Helen crossed her arms. That girl out there, Becca. Does she know you're proposing today? Lawson's hand moved unconsciously to his jacket pocket where the ring box sat. How did you know? Because I'm your mother and I know you. Does she know Ramona is coming? I mentioned it. And does Ramona know you're proposing to someone else in front of her? It's not about Ramona. Then what is it about? Lawson met his mother's eyes. Ramona thought I'd fail. When she left, she said I cared more about success than people. I just want her to see she was wrong. Helen stared at her son for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was softer. Sad. Oh, Lawson. She wasn't wrong. The words landed like a slap. You built an empire, Helen continued. You have more money than you could spend in 3 lifetimes. You're on magazine covers, but you're here planning to humiliate your ex-wife instead of just living your life. Does that sound like success to you? I'm not trying to humiliate her. I'm just being honest about how things turned out. If you were being honest, you'd admit this is about your ego. Helen touched his cheek. I love you. You're my son, but sometimes you make it very difficult to like you. She walked out of the kitchen before he could respond. Lawson stood alone among the copper pots and the smell of Christmas ham. His mother's words echoed in his head. You make it very difficult to like you. No, she didn't understand. None of them did. This wasn't about ego. This was about proving a point. Ramona walked away when things got hard. She gave up on him. She didn't believe in his vision. Well, his vision was worth $4.7 billion now. He'd earned the right to show her that. He went back to the sitting room. Everyone was gathered around the tree. Owen and Oscar were shaking wrapped presents, trying to guess what was inside. Becca sat on the couch next to Andrea, both of them looking at something on Andrea's phone. Wesley and Ruth were debating something about art. Paige was adjusting ornaments on the tree that didn't need adjusting. Helen stood by the window, looking out at the snowy lawn. Waiting. 11:45. 15 minutes until Ramona arrived. Lawson checked his phone. No messages. Would she actually come? Part of him wondered if she'd ignore the invitation. Maybe she'd moved on so completely that she didn't care about him anymore. Maybe she wouldn't even show up. But at 11:53, a sound started in the distance. Faint at first. A rhythmic thumping. Growing louder. Owen looked up from his present. What's that noise? The sound grew. Louder. Closer. The windows started to rattle. Ornaments on the Christmas tree shook. The whole house seemed to vibrate. Oscar ran to the window. Grandma, there's a helicopter. Everyone rushed to look. Through the falling snow, a sleek black helicopter descended toward the front lawn. Its rotors scattered powder in white clouds. The noise was deafening. Lawson started laughing. He couldn't help it. She rented a helicopter. That's so Ramona, always trying to make an entrance. But his laughter sounded wrong. Too loud. Slightly desperate. Becca grabbed his arm. Your ex-wife is arriving in a helicopter? Apparently. The helicopter touched down on the pristine lawn. Helen's carefully maintained grass disappeared under snow and wind. The rotors began to slow. Wesley pulled out his phone, recording. This is insane. The helicopter door opened. A woman stepped out. Lawson's laughter died in his throat. That couldn't be Ramona. Ramona was supposed to look tired, defeated. This woman looked like she'd stepped out of Vogue. She wore a cream-colored coat that probably cost $30,000. Her dark hair was cut in a sleek bob. Diamond earrings caught the winter sunlight. She moved across the snow with the confidence of someone who owned the ground beneath her feet. Is that her? Andrea whispered. She looks incredible. Lawson's brain struggled to process what he was seeing. This wasn't right. This wasn't the plan. Ramona was supposed to show up looking ordinary, looking like she'd struggled, looking like she'd lost. This woman looked like she'd won everything. The helicopter door opened wider. A small figure climbed out. A child. A boy, maybe 7 or 8 years old. He wore a red peacoat, dark curly hair, light brown skin. He took the woman's hand. Then another child climbed out. Another boy. Same height. Same coat in a different color. Green. Oh my God, Paige breathed. Are those twins? A third child emerged. A girl this time. Green dress. Same face as the boys. Same height. Becca's fingernails dug into Lawson's arm. Lawson, who are those children? A fourth child climbed out. Another girl. Red dress. Identical to her sister. 4 children total. All the same age. All the same height. All wearing coordinated Christmas outfits. All 4 children turned toward the house. The morning light hit their faces. Lawson's knees went weak. The room tilted. He gripped the window frame to stay upright. Those faces. He knew those faces. High cheekbones, deep-set brown eyes, the exact shape of the nose, a slightly crooked smile. He saw those features every morning in the mirror. Helen's champagne glass slipped from her fingers. Crystal shattered against marble. Red wine spread across white floor. The sound seemed to release everyone from their frozen state. Becca's voice rose to a shriek. "Lawson, tell me right now, are those your children?" Lawson's mouth opened. No sound came out. His throat had closed. His brain had stopped processing information. He stared at the 4 children standing on his mother's lawn, all of them wearing his face. Andrea moved closer to the window. Her medical training kicked in. She was analyzing, calculating. "Those children look exactly like you, Lawson. Exactly. How old are they?" Paige's voice was barely a whisper. 7 or 8, Wesley said. "Based on height and development, 7 years. 7 years since the divorce. 7 years since Ramona left." The math was simple. The truth was unavoidable. The front door opened. Cold wind rushed through the warm house. Ramona walked inside, holding the hands of 2 children. A boy on her left, a girl on her right. 2 more children followed behind. She looked around the room with calm, assessing eyes. She took in the shocked faces, the broken glass, the wine spreading across the floor, the family frozen in various poses of horror and disbelief. Her eyes landed on Lawson. She smiled. It was not a warm smile. "Hello, Helen," she said. Her voice was steady, controlled. "Thank you for having us. It's wonderful to see you again." Helen couldn't speak. She stared at the 4 children. Her hand was still pressed to her mouth. Tears were already forming in her eyes. Ramona looked down at her children. "Say hello to your grandmother, babies." 4 small voices, in unison. "Hello." They stood in a perfect line. 2 boys, 2 girls, all holding hands. Their winter coats were expensive. Their shoes were polished. They looked like children from a catalog. Perfect, well cared for, loved. Ramona gestured to each child. "This is Finn, the tallest boy. This is Felix, the quieter one. This is Freya, the girl with the confident stance. And this is Faye, the girl with glasses. They're 7 years old," Ramona continued. "They're quadruplets." The word hung in the air. Quadruplets. Helen made a sound between a gasp and a sob. She took a step toward the children, then stopped. Her legs wouldn't hold her. Andrea rushed over and caught her mother before she fell. "Quadruplets," Andrea repeated. The word sounded foreign. "Impossible. Lawson, you have quadruplets?" Becca backed away from him until she hit the wall. Her red dress suddenly looked too tight. She couldn't breathe. Her chest heaved. Black mascara started running down her face, even though she hadn't started crying yet. Anticipatory tears. "Lawson," Becca said. Her voice shook. "Tell me right now. Are these your children?" Lawson tried to speak. Words formed in his mind, but died before reaching his mouth. You don't understand." Ramona pulled her phone from her pocket. Designer bag, expensive phone. Everything about her screamed money, success, power. She tapped the screen a few times, then held it up. "These are text messages from 8 years ago," she said. Her voice carried through the room. Clear, calm, damning. "March 15th, 2:34 in the morning. I told you I was pregnant. With quadruplets, high-risk pregnancy. I needed you." She scrolled. "Your response came 11 hours later. Can't deal with this right now. Closing the Singapore deal. We'll talk later." She scrolled again. "I texted you 6 more times over the next week. March 16th, March 17th, March 20th, March 22nd, March 25th, March 27th. Increasingly desperate, begging you to call me, to talk to me, to acknowledge what I'd told you." Her finger moved across the screen. "You never responded. On March 30th, I texted you one final time. I understand, I'll handle this alone. Please don't contact me again." She lowered the phone and looked directly at Lawson. "You filed for divorce on April 1st. You had your lawyer include a clause that we would have no contact after the divorce was finalized. You changed your phone number. You told your assistant to refuse any calls from me. You moved to Denver for 6 months, then New York. You erased me from your life. Becca's voice was a whisper now. You knew she was pregnant? With 4 babies? Lawson looked at his family, all of them staring at him, waiting for an explanation. I was 27 years old. I was building a company. Do you know what 4 babies cost? Do you know the time commitment? I wasn't ready. So, you just left? Andrea's voice was cold, surgical, cutting. You just walked away from your pregnant wife? She should have been more careful, Lawson heard himself say. The words were stupid, indefensible, but they came out anyway. She should have. Stop talking. Helen's voice cut through the room like a blade. Stop talking right now. Lawson stopped. He'd never heard his mother use that tone. Not with him. Not ever. Helen walked toward the 4 children. She was crying openly now. She knelt on the hardwood floor in front of them, eye level. I'm your grandmother, she said. Her voice broke. I didn't know you existed. If I had known, I would have been there. I would have helped your mother. I would have held you when you were babies. I would have been there for every birthday, every Christmas, every single day. The 4 children looked at their mother. Ramona nodded. Permission to speak. Finn, the tallest boy, stepped forward. He looked at Helen with serious eyes. Our mom told us about you. She said you were nice. She said you probably didn't know about us because our father didn't tell you. Helen sobbed. She reached out, then stopped herself. Can I hug you? Is that okay? The 4 children looked at each other. Some silent communication passed between them. Then Freya, one of the girls, nodded. You can hug us, she said. Our mom said it would be okay. Helen pulled all 4 children into her arms. She cried into their hair, their little shoulders. 7 years of grandchildren she didn't know she had. 7 years of birthdays and Christmases and ordinary Tuesdays. All gone. All lost. Andrea and Paige rushed over. They knelt beside their mother. They touched the children's faces, their hair, trying to make them real. I have nieces, Paige whispered. I have nephews. Oh my God. What are your names again? Andrea asked. Tell me your names. I'm Finn, the oldest boy said. I like science and robotics. Felix, the quieter boy. I like art. I'm Freya, the confident girl. I take ballet. Faye, the girl with glasses. I like reading. 4 distinct personalities. 4 individual people. Not just copies. Not just statistics. Children. Lawson's children. Wesley stood nearby, his phone hanging forgotten in his hand. How did we not know? How did none of us know? Ruth looked at Lawson with something like disgust, because he never told anyone. He pretended they didn't exist. Becca pushed away from the wall. She walked toward Lawson. Her high heels clicked on the hardwood. Click, click, click. Each step deliberate. She stopped in front of him. Mascara ran down her face in black rivers. Her lipstick was smeared. Her perfect appearance had crumbled. You told me you didn't have children, she said. I asked you directly. On our 3rd date, I said, do you have any kids? You said no. Becca, you told me your ex-wife was controlling, difficult. You said she didn't understand your ambition. You said the divorce was mutual. I can explain. You have 4 children. Her voice rose. 4, and you abandoned them. You knew she was pregnant and you just left. She looked at the children, then back at Lawson. Understanding dawned on her face. You brought me here to show off. You invited her here to humiliate her. You thought she'd show up looking poor and sad, and I'd be your trophy, your proof that you won. Lawson didn't answer. Couldn't answer. Becca started laughing. It was a terrible sound. Broken. But she's not poor, is she? She showed up in a helicopter. She's wearing clothes that cost more than my car. And she has 4 perfect children, while you have nothing but your ego. She grabbed her purse from the couch. Her coat. Her hand shook so badly she could barely button it. Becca, please, let's just go outside and talk about this. No. She shook her head. We're done. We are so done. I wasted 2 years on you. 2 years, and you're exactly what she said. You care more about winning than people. She pulled out her phone. Her fingers trembled as she opened an app. I'm calling an Uber. Don't follow me. Don't call me. Lose my number. You can't just leave. We came together. Becca looked at him with something like pity. Watch me. She walked to the front door. Helen appeared beside her. Sweetie, let me drive you. You don't need to wait for a car. I'll take you wherever you need to go. Thank you, Becca whispered. I just need to leave. I can't be here. I understand. Get your things. Becca didn't have things to get. She had her purse. Her phone. That was enough. She opened the front door. Cold air rushed in. Snow was still falling. She looked back one time. Not at Lawson. At the 4 children clustered around their mother and grandmother. They're beautiful, Becca said quietly. You threw away something beautiful. I hope it was worth it. She walked out. The door closed behind her. Her heels clicked on the porch, then faded as she walked down the driveway. Lawson stood in the middle of his mother's sitting room. His family surrounded him, but he'd never felt more alone. Andrea stood up from the floor where she'd been kneeling with the children. She looked at her brother with eyes full of tears and rage. We could have helped them, she said. We could have been there. Paige and I could have been aunts. Mom could have been a grandmother. Wesley and Ruth could have been family. Owen and Oscar could have had cousins their age. Her voice rose. Do you understand what you stole from us? Not just from Ramona. Not just from these children. From all of us. We missed 7 years because you were too much of a coward to face what you'd done. I wasn't a coward, Lawson said weakly. I was focused. I was building something important. Paige stood up too. Her face was blotchy from crying. Building something important? You built a company. Congratulations. But you destroyed a family. You abandoned 4 babies. 4. Wesley, always quiet, always diplomatic, spoke up. I don't understand how someone does that. How do you know 4 babies are coming and just walk away? You don't know what it was like, Lawson said. I was 27. I was poor. The company was barely surviving. 4 babies would have destroyed everything. So you destroyed them instead, Ruth said quietly. I didn't destroy them. Look at them. They're fine. Ramona had been silent through all of this, letting his family tear him apart. But now she spoke. Let me tell you what fine looked like, she said. Her voice was still calm, still controlled, but underneath, something sharp. I was pregnant with high-risk quadruplets. I had hyperemesis gravidarum. That's severe nausea and vomiting. I lost 15 pounds in the first trimester. I was hospitalized twice for dehydration. She took a step closer to Lawson. I had to quit my job. I had no income. I had no savings because we'd put everything into your company. Remember? My salary paid our rent while you built your dream. Another step. I moved to Philadelphia to live with my cousin Trish. She gave me her guest room. I slept on a futon surrounded by storage boxes. I was so sick, I couldn't stand for more than 10 minutes without vomiting, but I had to work, so I got a job answering phones at a medical office, sitting down, trash can next to my desk, for when I got sick. The children watched their mother. They'd heard this story before, but they listened like it was new. The babies were born 6 weeks early. March 15th became April 29th. 4 tiny humans. Finn was 4 pounds, 2 ounces. Felix was 3 pounds, 15 ounces. Freya was 4 pounds even. Faye was 3 pounds, 12 ounces. Ramona's voice wavered for the first time. They stayed in the NICU for 3 weeks. I sat in that hospital day and night. I pumped milk every 2 hours. I held them when the nurses said I could. I sang to them. I promised them I would give them everything even though I had nothing. Helen was crying again. So was Andrea. Paige had her hand over her mouth. The hospital bill was $87,000. My cousin's insurance covered some of it. The hospital wrote off some as charity care, but I still owed $42,000. I paid it off over 5 years, $300 a month, every month. While raising 4 babies alone, she looked at Lawson with eyes that held no forgiveness. So yes, they're fine, but not because it was easy, not because I had help, because I worked 3 jobs, because I taught myself to code at night while breastfeeding 4 infants, because I refused to let them grow up thinking they weren't wanted. Finn stepped away from Helen. He walked over to his mother and took her hand. Felix followed. Then Freya. Then Faye. All 4 children formed a protective circle around Ramona. Finn looked at Lawson, 7 years old, but with eyes that seemed much older. Our mom told us about you. She said you chose your company over us. She said some people run away when things get hard. She said you were one of those people. I didn't run away, Lawson said. I needed time to build something. You had time, Felix said quietly. You had 8 years. You just didn't want us. The simple truth. From a 7-year-old. Devastating. Freya crossed her arms. Family shows up. That's what Mom always says. Family shows up even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. You didn't show up. Faye, the one with glasses, tilted her head. You made a choice. Choices have consequences. Mom teaches us that. 4 children. 4 different personalities. All saying the same thing. You failed us. Lawson felt something crack open in his chest. Something he'd kept locked away for 7 years. Guilt. Shame. The knowledge that they were right. But admitting they were right meant admitting he'd wasted 7 years. It meant admitting he'd chosen wrong. And Lawson Tate didn't choose wrong. Lawson Tate won. Always. How much do I owe you? He asked Ramona. For child support. 7 years. 4 kids. How much? The room went quiet. Everyone stared at him. Ramona reached into her designer bag. She pulled out a manila folder. She walked across the room and handed it to him. My lawyers calculated it based on Connecticut child support guidelines and your income. This is the official filing. We submitted it to the court 2 days ago. Lawson opened the folder. Legal documents. His name. Ramona's name. 4 children's names. All spelled out in legal language. At the bottom of the first page. A number. $1,800,000. The folder slipped from his hands. Papers scattered across the floor. The numbers seemed to pulse, growing larger, filling his vision. 1.8 million? His voice came out as a croak. That can't be right. 4 children, 7 years. The state requires minimum monthly support based on parental income. You make, what, $5 million a year in salary alone? Not counting stock options and bonuses. The calculation is correct. I don't have that kind of liquid cash. Then you'll need to sell assets. You have 30 days to make the first payment, $90,000. Then monthly payments of $15,000 until the back support is covered. Lawson's brain tried to do the math. How long would it take to pay off $1.8 million at $15,000 a month? Years. It would take years. I'll pay it, he said. I'll transfer the money today, right now. All of it. Ramona smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. I don't want your money, Lawson. He looked up, confused. Then why? I don't need your money. Let me tell you what happened after you abandoned us. She walked to the couch and sat down, crossed her legs. Completely comfortable. In control. The 4 children sat on the floor around her feet. I was working 3 jobs when the babies turned 2, Ramona began. Medical office receptionist during the day, waitress at night, and I'd taught myself to code. I started freelancing, building websites for small businesses. $50 here, $100 there. She paused. Let them absorb this. I kept coding. Every night after the kids went to bed, I had an idea for an app, a platform to help patients coordinate care between multiple specialists. I dealt with it myself. 4 babies meant 4 pediatricians, specialists, therapies. I was drowning in appointments and prescriptions and referrals. Andrea leaned forward. She knew where this was going. She couldn't breathe. I built Connect Health, Ramona said. Started as a simple app, basic interface, free to use. It went viral in chronic illness communities. People with diabetes, heart conditions, cancer. They needed to coordinate between 5, 6, 10 different doctors. My app did that. She smiled. A real smile this time. Healthcare systems started reaching out. Hospitals wanted to license it. Insurance companies wanted to integrate it. I hired developers. I expanded. I built a company. Connect Health, Andrea whispered. You built Connect Health. I use it at the hospital. We all use it. It's everywhere. 3 years ago, MedTech Global offered to buy it. $2.1 billion. I accepted. Kept 20% equity. Started a venture capital firm investing in female-founded health tech companies. The number hung in the air. $2.1 billion. Lawson felt the room tilt. His vision blurred. Ramona sold her company for $2.1 billion. His company was worth $4.7 billion. She'd built something nearly as valuable as his empire, while raising 4 children. Alone. My current net worth is approximately $2.8 billion, Ramona continued. We have homes in Philadelphia, Aspen, and Barcelona. The children attend Baldwin School, top private school in Philadelphia. They have trust funds. College is paid for. Graduate school is paid for. Their children's college will be paid for. She looked at each of her children with pure love. They have everything they need. They've never wanted for anything, not because of you, despite you. Paige started laughing, the same broken, almost hysterical laugh Becca had made. Oh my God, Lawson, you invited her here to show off your success, but she's just as successful as you are. She did it while raising 4 kids, alone. She laughed harder. This is perfect. Wesley pulled out his phone again. Wait, Connect Health. The sale was in the news, I remember. Forbes did an article. The single mother who built a billion-dollar company. He looked at Ramona with awe. That was you. That was me. Helen walked over to Ramona. She sat beside her on the couch. Took her hand. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you reach out? I would have helped. I would have given you anything. Because Lawson made it very clear he wanted nothing to do with us. I wasn't going to force my children on a family that might reject them. I couldn't risk their hearts like that. They'd already been rejected by their father before they were born. I wouldn't put them through that again. We wouldn't have rejected them, Andrea said fiercely. Never. They're family. I know that now. But 8 years ago, I didn't know. Lawson told me you all agreed the divorce was for the best. He said you supported his decision to cut contact. Helen's face went white. He told you what? Ramona looked at Helen with sad eyes. After I told him I was pregnant, I called your house 3 times. I wanted to talk to you, to Andrea and Paige. I thought maybe you could help me reach him. Every time, Lawson answered. He said you all knew about the pregnancy. He said you agreed it was better if we had no contact. He said you supported his decision to move forward without the burden of children. Helen stood up. She walked toward Lawson. Her face had transformed into something he'd never seen before. Pure fury. You told her we knew. Helen's voice was deadly quiet. You told her we supported abandoning 4 babies? Mom, I can explain. Explain? Helen's hand flew up. For a moment, Lawson thought she might actually slap him. She'd never raised a hand to him in his entire life. You looked that pregnant woman in the eye and told her your family agreed she should raise quadruplets alone. You made her think we abandoned her too. I was trying to make a clean break. It was easier if... The slap came. Hard. Across his face. The sound echoed through the sitting room. Everyone froze. Owen and Oscar, the 8-year-old twins, stared with wide eyes. The quadruplets watched without expression. Andrea covered her mouth. Paige looked like she might cheer. Helen had never hit any of her children. Not once. Not ever. Lawson's cheek burned. He touched it, shocked. Get out, Helen said. Mom, get out of my house, right now. I don't want to look at you. These are my children. I have a right. You have no rights. Helen's voice rose to a shout. You gave up your rights when you abandoned them, when you lied to their mother, when you erased them from existence because they were inconvenient. Andrea stepped forward. Lawson, leave. Before this gets worse. It can't get worse, Paige added. But you should still leave. Lawson looked around the room. His mother, face flushed with rage. His sisters, united against him. His nephews, confused and scared. Ramona, calm as still water, watching him drown. And 4 children. His children, looking at him with eyes that held no warmth, no recognition, no love. Strangers. His own children were strangers. Can the first... His voice cracked. Can I see them again? The children. Can I have a chance to... Ramona stood up. She smoothed her expensive coat. That's not my decision to make. That's theirs. She looked down at the 4 children. Babies, do you want to see Lawson again? Do you want him to be part of your life? The children looked at each other. That silent communication again. Finn, as the oldest, spoke for all of them. We need to think about it, he said carefully. Mom always says not to make big decisions when emotions are high. We're feeling a lot of emotions right now. 7 years old. Speaking with the wisdom of someone much older. Lawson had missed teaching him that. Ramona had done it. Every life lesson. Every moment of growth. All her. That's very wise, Ramona said. We'll think about it. If you decide you want to know him, I'll make it happen. If you decide you don't, I'll respect that too. Okay? All 4 children nodded. Ramona turned to Lawson. You heard them. They'll let me know. If they want contact, I'll reach out. Don't call me. Don't show up in Philadelphia. Don't try to force this. You lost the right to force anything 7 years ago. She pulled a business card from her bag, handed it to Helen, not Lawson. My personal number, for you, and Andrea and Paige. If you want to know your grandchildren, you're welcome in their lives. You didn't know. You would have helped. I believe that. Helen took the card with shaking hands. Can you stay? Please, I just met them. I don't want them to leave yet. Ramona checked her watch. An expensive watch. Rolex, probably. We can stay for a few hours. We're flying back to Philadelphia this evening. School starts back on Monday. Flying back in the helicopter? Yes. My pilot is waiting at a hotel nearby. I'll text him when we're ready. Helen grabbed Ramona's hands. Thank you. Thank you for bringing them. Thank you for giving us this chance. You're their grandmother. They deserve to know you. Helen turned to Lawson. Her expression hardened again. Leave, now. We're going to spend time with our grandchildren, without you. Lawson stood there. Part of him wanted to argue, to demand his rights, to claim his place. But what place did he have? These children didn't know him. His family hated him. His girlfriend had left him. His grand plan had exploded in his face. He grabbed his coat, walked to the door, stopped, looked back one more time. The 4 children had moved closer to Helen. She was kneeling again, asking them questions. What did they like to eat? What were their favorite subjects in school? Did they like their grandmother's house? They were smiling, tentative, careful, but smiling. Lawson walked out into the snow. The helicopter sat on the lawn, dark and silent. His Bentley was gone. Marcus must have driven it somewhere. He was alone. He pulled out his phone, called an Uber, 45 minutes away. He'd wait outside, in the cold, where he belonged. The front door opened. He turned, hoping irrationally that someone had changed their minds. Wesley stepped out, Andrea's husband. He closed the door behind him. Came to stand next to Lawson. That was brutal, Wesley said. I deserved it. Yeah, you did. Wesley wasn't unkind, just honest. But for what it's worth, I've seen people come back from worse. Have you? Lawson's voice was hollow. I'm a surgeon. I see people make terrible decisions every day. Ignore symptoms, avoid treatment, let things get worse because they're scared or stubborn or proud. Some of them die, but some of them wake up. They realize they almost lost everything. They change, they fight, they survive. Wesley put his hand on Lawson's shoulder. You almost lost everything today. Actually, you did lose everything today. The question is whether you're going to wake up or keep pretending you're fine. I don't know how to fix this. Start by being honest, with yourself, with them. You were scared, you were selfish, you made the worst decision of your life. Say it, mean it. Then spend the rest of your life proving you've changed. Wesley went back inside, left Lawson alone in the snow. The Uber arrived, a tired-looking Honda Civic. The driver was a middle-aged woman listening to Christmas music. She tried to make small talk. Lawson gave one-word answers until she gave up. She drove him to the train station. He took Metro North back to the city. Grand Central was packed with Christmas travelers. Families, children. Everyone looked happy. Lawson rode the subway to his stop, walked to his building. The doorman wished him Merry Christmas. He didn't respond. His penthouse was dark, empty, exactly as he'd left it. Nothing had changed here. Everything had changed, everywhere else. He sat on his couch, pulled out his phone, opened his photo app. He had no pictures of his children. None. 7 years of their lives, and he had zero documentation that they existed. He opened his browser, typed in Ramona Monroe Connect Health. Articles appeared, hundreds of them. Forbes, Wall Street Journal, TechCrunch, Bloomberg, all with her face. She was famous. Not as famous as him, maybe, but famous enough. He clicked on the Forbes article. The single mother who built a billion-dollar company. There was a photo of Ramona in her office. Behind her on the wall, a large photo. 4 babies, tiny, in hospital beds, wires attached. NICU, his children, on the day they were born, the day he wasn't there. He read the article, every word. I was 7 months pregnant with quadruplets when my husband filed for divorce, Ramona was quoted. I had no income, no support system, no plan, but I had 4 reasons to survive. 4 reasons to build something better. The hardest moment was sitting in the NICU, looking at 4 premature babies, and realizing I was completely alone. Their father wasn't coming. No one was coming. It was just me. That moment could have broken me. Instead, it made me. I tell my children that obstacles are opportunities. When someone tells you no, you find another way. When someone abandons you, you build your own family. When someone says you can't, you prove them wrong. The article went on. Her company's growth, her investment strategy, her net worth. But Lawson couldn't stop looking at the photo. 4 tiny babies, all fighting to live, all without their father. He clicked on another article, this one from a parenting magazine. Tech CEO Ramona Monroe on raising quadruplets alone. Another photo, the children around age 4, matching outfits, big smiles, holding hands. They looked happy, loved, secure. People ask how I do it all, Ramona was quoted. The answer is, I don't. I do what matters. I show up for my children. Everything else is negotiable. Business meetings can be rescheduled. Conference calls can be missed. But second-grade plays and soccer games and bedtime stories? Those can't be rescheduled. Those are life. Lawson set down his phone. He walked to his bedroom, opened the drawer where he'd put the engagement ring. $60,000. 8 carats. The ring that was supposed to prove he'd won. He'd won nothing. He'd lost everything. And he'd lost it 7 years ago. He just didn't know it until today. He sat on his bed, in his empty penthouse, in his empty life. And for the first time in 7 years, Lawson Tate cried. He cried for the babies he never held, for the first steps he never saw, for the birthday parties he missed, for 7 years of bedtime stories he didn't read, for 4 children who looked at him like a stranger because that's what he was. He cried until he couldn't cry anymore, until his eyes burned and his chest ached and his throat was raw. Then he got up, washed his face, and made a decision. He couldn't fix the past. Those 7 years were gone forever. But maybe he could change the future. If his children gave him the chance. 3 days passed. The worst 3 days of Lawson's life. He stayed in his penthouse. Didn't go to work. Didn't answer calls. His assistant, Jennifer, texted repeatedly. Was he okay? Did he need anything? The Singapore investors were asking about him. He texted back, taking personal time. Handle it. His mother didn't call. His sisters didn't call. No one from his family reached out. On the 4th day, December 29th, his doorbell rang. He wasn't expecting anyone. He almost didn't answer. But the doorbell rang again. Insistent, he opened the door. Andrea stood in the hallway. She wore jeans and a sweater. No makeup. She looked exhausted. Can I come in? She asked. He stepped aside. She walked into his penthouse, looked around, took in the minimalist furniture, the empty spaces, the lack of warmth. This place looks like a hotel, she said. I like it clean. You like it sterile. There's a difference. She sat on his couch. We need to talk. Did Mom send you? No, Mom still isn't speaking to you. Neither is Paige. I came on my own. Lawson sat in the chair across from her. Why? Because I'm a surgeon. I fix things. And you're broken. Andrea leaned forward. Lawson, what you did was unforgivable. You know that, right? There's no excuse, no explanation that makes it okay. I know. But, she paused. I've spent the last 3 days with those children. With Ramona. They stayed at Mom's house through yesterday. We talked. A lot. Lawson's heart jumped. How are they? The kids. Are they okay? They're incredible. Finn is building a robot for his school's science fair. Felix draws these amazing pictures. Freya is taking ballet and wants to be a principal dancer. Faye reads at a 10th grade level and she's only 7. Andrea's eyes filled with tears. They're so smart, Lawson. So kind. So well-adjusted considering they've never had a father. Ramona did an amazing job, alone. I know. Do you? Do you really understand what she did? She was 26 years old, pregnant with quadruplets, high risk, sick constantly, no income, and she not only survived, she thrived. She built a billion-dollar company while raising 4 babies. Do you understand how extraordinary that is? I'm starting to. Andrea wiped her eyes. Finn asked about you. Lawson's breath caught. What did he say? He asked why you left, not in an accusatory way, just curious, like he was trying to understand. I told him I didn't know. I told him only you could answer that. What did he say? He said his mom told him that some people run away when things get hard. He said you must have been very scared to run away from 4 babies. Andrea looked at her brother. He was giving you grace. A 7-year-old was giving you grace you don't deserve. Lawson felt tears burning again. I was scared. I was terrified. Of what? 4 babies? People raise quadruplets. It's hard, but it's possible. Of failing. Of not being enough. Of becoming my father. Andrea froze. What? Lawson stood up. Walked to the window. Looked out at the city. Dad left when I was 8. You were 5. Paige was 2. You don't remember what it was like before. How he looked at us like we were burdens. How he complained about the cost of everything. How he told Mom he never wanted kids in the first place. I remember some of it, Andrea said quietly. He left on a Tuesday, just didn't come home from work. Mom got a letter from a lawyer 3 days later, divorce. He moved to California. We saw him twice after that, twice in 30 years. He sent child support because the court made him, but that was it. He erased us. Lawson's reflection stared back at him in the window. I swore I'd never be like him. I'd never have kids I didn't want. I'd never make children feel like burdens. So when Ramona told me she was pregnant with 4, all I could think was I'm going to become him. I'm going to resent them. I'm going to look at them like problems instead of people. I'm going to ruin their lives. So, you left before you could ruin them, Andrea said. You became exactly what you feared. I know. Lawson turned to face his sister. I know I became him. I did the exact thing I swore I'd never do, and I can't take it back. I can't get those years back. They're gone. Andrea stood up, walked over to him. You're right. You can't fix the past. But Lawson, those kids exist. They're here. They're real. You can't undo abandoning them, but you can choose not to keep abandoning them. They don't want to see me. Actually, Andrea pulled out her phone. Ramona called me this morning. The kids voted, all 4 of them. They want to give you a chance. Lawson couldn't breathe. They do. 1 chance. Ramona was very clear. You get 1 chance to prove you've changed. If you disappoint them, if you hurt them, if you make promises you don't keep, that's it, forever. Do you understand? I understand. Ramona is going to email you. She'll set up parameters, rules, boundaries. You follow them exactly. You don't push. You don't demand. You show up when you're invited and you leave when you're asked. Got it? Got it. Andrea hugged him. It surprised him. She held him tight. Don't waste this, Lawson. This is the most important thing you'll ever do. More important than your company. More important than your money. More important than your ego. Those 4 kids are giving you a gift. Treasure it. She pulled back, looked him in the eyes. And Lawson, get therapy. You need to deal with your father issues before you can be a father yourself. Understand? I'll call someone today. Good. Andrea headed for the door. Stopped. Mom will come around eventually. Paige might take longer. But if you prove you're serious, they'll support you. We're family. That's what family does. She left. Lawson stood alone in his empty penthouse. His phone was on the coffee table. He watched it, waiting, hoping. 2 hours later, an email arrived. From Ramona Monroe. Subject line, terms and conditions. Lawson opened it with shaking hands. Lawson. After much discussion, Finn, Felix, Freya, and Faye have decided to allow you into their lives on a probationary basis. The following terms are non-negotiable. 1. All contact will be supervised by me for the first 6 months. 2. You will meet the children on their schedule, not yours. If they have school or activities or simply don't want to see you that day, you accept it without complaint. 3. You will not make promises you cannot keep. If you commit to something, you follow through, no exceptions. 4. You will not buy their affection with expensive gifts. Appropriate birthday and holiday gifts only. 5. You will respect that I am their parent. You gave up parental authority when you left. You're earning the chance to be in their lives, not the right to make decisions about their lives. 6. If at any point any of the children express discomfort or wish to end contact, you will respect that immediately. This is not about you. This is about them. If you can agree to these terms, respond to this email. I will schedule an initial meeting for next weekend in Philadelphia. You will come alone. You will stay in a hotel, not with us. The meeting will last 2 hours. If it goes well, we'll schedule another. If it doesn't, we're done. The choice is yours. Ramona. Lawson read the email 3 times. The terms were harsh. They positioned him as an outsider earning entry, not a father reclaiming his children. His ego bristled. He had rights. Legal rights. Parental rights. Then he remembered Finn's face. 7 years old. Asking why he left. Trying to understand. He remembered Felix's quiet observation. Freya's crossed arms. Faye's analytical gaze. 4 children he created. 4 people he'd never met. His ego could be wounded. He'd survive. But if he lost this chance, he'd lose them forever. He hit reply. Typed 4 words. I agree. Thank you. Sent it before he could overthink. Ramona's response came within minutes. Saturday, January 5th, 2 p.m. The Barnes Foundation in Philadelphia. We'll meet in the main gallery. Don't be late. A public place. Smart. Neutral territory. Cameras. Security. Safety for the children. Lawson immediately opened his calendar. A board meeting was scheduled for that Saturday. Investor presentations on Friday evening. A potential acquisition closing Sunday morning. He canceled all of it. Sent emails to his assistant. Reschedule everything. Personal matter. Non-negotiable. Then he did what Andrea suggested. He searched for therapists in Manhattan. Found one who specialized in family trauma and abandonment issues. Dr. Yolanda Martinez. He called her office. I need an appointment as soon as possible, he told the receptionist. I abandoned my children, and I need help becoming someone they could respect. The honesty shocked him, but it felt necessary. No more lies. No more pretending. We have an opening tomorrow at 10 a.m., the receptionist said. It's a cancellation. Can you make it? I'll be there. He hung up. Sat in his empty penthouse. For the first time in days, he felt something other than despair. Hope. Tiny. Fragile. But there, the next 10 days were the hardest of Lawson's life. Harder than building his company. Harder than closing his first deal. Harder than anything he'd done. He went to therapy every day. Dr. Martinez was in her 50s, with kind eyes and zero tolerance for self-pity. Tell me why you're here, she said in their first session. I have 4 children I've never met. They're giving me one chance. I can't fail. Why did you abandon them? And Lawson told her. Everything. His father leaving. His fear of becoming him. The pregnancy. The panic. The divorce. 7 years of pretending they didn't exist. Dr. Martinez listened without judgment. When he finished, she said, You were afraid of becoming your father, so you became exactly like him. Do you see the irony? I see it now. Fear makes us stupid, she said. It makes us hurt the people we love because we're trying to protect ourselves from hypothetical pain. You hurt 4 real children to avoid hypothetical failure. That's the definition of selfish. I know. Knowing isn't enough. You need to feel it. You need to sit with the shame and the guilt and the regret. You need to let it hurt, because if you can't feel the weight of what you did, you'll minimize it. You'll make excuses. You'll do it again. So Lawson sat with it. Every day. The weight of 7 years. The birthdays he missed. The first day of school photos that didn't include him. The Christmas mornings he wasn't there for. The nightmares he didn't soothe. The scraped knees he didn't bandage. The report cards he didn't celebrate. 7 years of absence. Tangible. Heavy. Real. Dr. Martinez gave him homework. Write a letter to each child. Not to send. Just to process. What would he say if he could say anything? He spent a week on the letters. Wrote and rewrote. Crossed out lies and excuses until only truth remained. Dear Finn, I don't know you. That's my fault. I should know your favorite color and your favorite food and what makes you laugh. I should know if you're afraid of the dark, or if you sleep with a stuffed animal, or if you like your sandwiches cut in triangles or rectangles. I should know everything. Instead, I know nothing. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Dear Felix, your mom says you like art. I like art too. I used to draw when I was young. I wasn't very good, but I liked it anyway. I wonder if you got that from me. I wonder what else you got from me. I wonder what you got from your mom. I wonder who you are. I should know who you are. I'm sorry I don't. Dear Freya, you're strong. I can see it in the way you stand, the way you look at people. You don't apologize for taking up space. That's from your mom. She's the strongest person I've ever met. I hope you grow up to be just like her. I hope you're nothing like me. Dear Faye, you're smart. Your mom says you read at a 10th grade level. When I was 7, I was reading Dr. Seuss. You're extraordinary. I wish I'd been there to read with you, to watch you discover words and stories and ideas. I missed it. I can't get it back. But maybe, if you let me, I can be there for the next book, and the one after that, and all the ones that come after. He didn't send the letters. Dr. Martinez said not to. This isn't about making yourself feel better by apologizing. This is about understanding what you lost. Feel it, own it, then use it as motivation to do better. January 5th arrived. Lawson took the train to Philadelphia. He'd thought about driving, showing up in an expensive car. Then he remembered Ramona's rule. Don't buy their affection. Don't show off. Just show up. So he took the train, dressed simply, jeans, a sweater, a coat. No designer labels, no status symbols. Just a man going to meet his children. The Barnes Foundation was a beautiful building. Art museum, classical architecture, quiet galleries. Lawson arrived at 1:45. 15 minutes early. He waited in the main gallery, paced, checked his watch. 1:50, 1:55, 1:58. At exactly 2 p.m., the door opened. Ramona walked in. Behind her, 4 children, all wearing winter coats. Finn in red, Felix in blue, Freya in green, Faye in purple. They stopped 10 feet away. 4 children and their mother. A unit, complete without him. Lawson's throat closed. He couldn't speak. Ramona spoke first. You came. I said I would. People say lots of things. She looked at her children. Babies, this is Lawson. He's your biological father. You can call him Lawson, or you can call him Dad, or you can call him nothing at all. Whatever feels right to you. Finn stepped forward. The brave one, the leader. Hi, Lawson. Hi, Finn. Lawson's voice cracked. It's good to see you again. You too, I guess. Felix waved from behind his brother. Shy, uncertain, Freya crossed her arms. Faye adjusted her glasses and watched him like he was a puzzle to solve. There's a children's activity in the education wing, Ramona said. Art project. They can do that while we talk. Or if you prefer, you can do the activity with them. I'd like to do it with them, Lawson said immediately. If that's okay with them? The 4 children looked at each other. That silent communication. Finally, Finn nodded. Okay, you can come. The education wing had tables set up with art supplies. The project was creating self-portraits using mixed media, collage, paint, markers, fabric scraps. About a dozen other children were there with parents. The Quadruplets chose a table. Lawson sat with them. Ramona sat at a table nearby, close enough to supervise, far enough to give them space. For a long moment, no one spoke. The children gathered supplies. Finn took scissors and magazines. Felix grabbed paint. Freya chose fabric scraps. Faye collected markers. Lawson watched them work. The way Finn's tongue stuck out slightly when he concentrated. How Felix hummed quietly while he painted. Freya's decisive movements. Faye's methodical organization of materials. What are you making? Lawson asked. Finn looked up. Self-portrait. It's supposed to show who we are. That's a cool project. I'm putting robots on mine, Finn said. Because I like building things. Your mom told me you're making a robot for the science fair. Finn's face lit up. Yeah. It's a solar-powered water purification system. For places that don't have clean water. That's incredible. How did you learn to do that? YouTube videos mostly. And Mom got me a robotics kit for my birthday. I've been working on it since September. Can I see it sometime? The robot? Finn shrugged. Maybe, if you're still around. The casual cruelty of it. If you're still around. Because Lawson had a history of not being around. I'll be around, Lawson said. As much as you want me to be. Finn didn't respond. Just went back to cutting pictures from magazines. Felix painted in silence. Blues and greens. A landscape emerging on his paper. He had talent. Real talent. The way he blended colors. The composition. That's beautiful, Felix, Lawson said. Felix looked up. Surprised. Thanks. Do you take art classes? After-school program. Twice a week. What's your favorite thing to paint? Dragons and forests. And sometimes my family. Have you painted your family? Yeah. I made one for Mom's birthday. It's in her office now. In her office, where Lawson had never been, in a life he wasn't part of. Freya worked on her portrait with quick, confident movements. She glued fabric to paper. Tulle for a tutu. Sequins for dance shoes. You like ballet? Lawson asked. I love it. I'm going to be a principal dancer when I grow up. I bet you will be. You seem very determined. Mom says determination is more important than talent. You have to work hard every day. Your mom is right. She's right about most things. Freya looked at him directly. She said you left because you were scared. Is that true? Lawson's breath caught. 7 years old and asking the question that mattered. Yes. I was very scared. What were you scared of? I was scared I wouldn't be a good father. I was scared I'd mess up. So I ran away instead of trying. That's stupid, Freya said bluntly. Everyone messes up. You don't run away because you might fail. You try anyway. You're right, it was stupid. It was the stupidest thing I've ever done. Freya nodded, satisfied with his answer. Went back to her portrait. Faye worked methodically. She'd drawn a grid on her paper, filled in each square with a different element. Books, glasses, a cat, numbers, patterns. Is that your cat? Lawson asked, pointing to the drawing. We don't have a cat. I want one. Mom says maybe when we're older and can help take care of it. What would you name it? Agatha, like Agatha Christie. She wrote mystery books. I know. You like mysteries? I love them. I'm reading all the Sherlock Holmes stories. I'm on the Hound of the Baskervilles. That's a good one. Kinda scary though. I like scary. Mom says mysteries teach you to look for clues, to pay attention to details, to solve problems. Faye looked at Lawson over her glasses. I'm looking for clues about you. To figure out if you're going to stay or leave again. The honesty was devastating. 7 years old, already protecting herself, already assuming abandonment. I'm going to stay, Lawson said. For as long as you'll let me. That's what people say. But people lie. I know, I lied before. I'm trying not to lie anymore. We'll see. Faye went back to her portrait. They worked in silence for a while. Lawson didn't have supplies. He was just there, just present, watching his children create, learning who they were by what they chose to put on their self-portraits. Finn filled his page with robots, planets, equations, a scientific mind. Felix created a dreamy landscape with a tiny figure in the center, an artist's soul. Freya's portrait was all movement, dance, energy, strength. Faye's was organized, structured, logical, a pattern maker. After an hour, the art teacher announced time was up. Clean up time. The children carefully set their portraits aside to dry. Ramona came over. Time to go, babies. We have dinner with Grandma Helen tonight. Grandma's coming to Philadelphia? Finn asked. She's already here. She came yesterday. She's staying all weekend. She wants to see you every day. The children's faces lit up. In just a few days, they'd bonded with their grandmother. Helen had that effect. Unconditional love. No hesitation, no fear. Unlike their father. Can Lawson come to dinner? Felix asked. Everyone looked at him. Quiet Felix, who spoke the least but apparently thought the most. Ramona looked at Lawson. That's up to your brothers and sisters. Do you all want Lawson at dinner? Finn shrugged. I don't care. Freya said, Grandma might want him there. Faye said, it's fine with me. Felix nodded. He should come. Ramona pulled out her phone. Texted someone. Probably Helen. A response came immediately. She looked at Lawson. Helen says you're welcome. Dinner is at 6. We're eating at her hotel, the Logan. Do you know it? I'll find it. Don't be late. And Lawson, this is a family dinner, not a performance, not an opportunity to show off, just dinner. Understand? I understand. Ramona herded the children toward the exit. They put on their coats, zipped up. Faye's zipper stuck. Lawson moved instinctively to help. Stopped himself. Ramona had it. She'd been doing this alone for 7 years. She didn't need him. But Faye looked at him. Can you help? My zipper's stuck. Sure. Lawson knelt down, gently worked the zipper. A bit of fabric was caught. He freed it. Zipped her coat up. There you go. Thanks. Faye walked away. Such a small moment, but it felt huge. The children left. Ramona stayed behind for a moment. That went better than I expected. They were kind to me, kinder than I deserve. They're good kids. I raised them to be empathetic, to understand that people are complicated. But Lawson, don't mistake empathy for forgiveness. They're willing to know you. That doesn't mean they trust you. I know. Earn it. Every day. Show up. Be consistent. Prove you've changed. She paused. And thank you for the art session. You let them lead. You didn't try to take over. That was good. She left before he could respond. Lawson sat alone in the education wing. Around him, other families cleaned up art supplies. Parents helping children. Normal family moments. He'd missed 7 years of normal family moments, but maybe he could have some future ones, if he earned them. He went back to his hotel, a modest place, not the Four Seasons, not the Ritz, just a clean room with a bed. He'd downgraded everything, sold the Bentley, moved out of his penthouse into a one-bedroom apartment in Queens, cut expenses everywhere. Not because he needed to, he was still a billionaire, but because living in luxury while claiming to have changed felt wrong, felt like a lie. Dr. Martinez had said in their last session, real change requires sacrifice. You have to give up the things that fed your ego, the status symbols, the need to win. You have to rebuild yourself from the ground up. So he was rebuilding, slowly, one day at a time. At 5:45, he left the hotel, walked to the Logan. It was only a few blocks. The evening was cold but clear. Philadelphia looked beautiful. He'd never spent real time in this city, the city where his children lived. He needed to learn it, learn their world. The Logan was elegant. Helen had probably chosen it. She had good taste. The restaurant was on the first floor. Warm lighting, white tablecloths, not stuffy, welcoming. Helen sat at a large table. The Quadruplets were already there. So was Andrea, and Paige, and their spouses, and Owen and Oscar, the whole family. Lawson stopped in the doorway, uncertain. Helen saw him. Her expression was still cool, still hurt, but she gestured to an empty chair. Sit. You're late. He checked his watch. 5:58. I'm 2 minutes early. If you're not early, you're late. Sit down. He sat. The children were across from him. Finn, Felix, Freya, Faye, all watching him. Next to them, their cousins Owen and Oscar. The 6 kids together. Family. Andrea nodded at him. Paige didn't acknowledge him. Still angry. He deserved that. A waiter came. Took drink orders. Lawson ordered water. He'd stopped drinking. Another sacrifice. Another way to prove he was serious. Dinner was awkward at first. Helen asked the children about school, about their week. They answered enthusiastically. Told stories. Finn talked about his robot. Felix about art class. Freya about ballet. Faye about the mystery book she'd finished. Helen absorbed every detail like she'd been starving for it. She had been. 7 years of grandchildren she didn't know about. She was making up for lost time. Lawson, how's work? Andrea asked, breaking the silence on his side of the table. I took a leave of absence. Everyone looked at him. A leave of absence? Helen's eyebrows rose. You've never taken time off in your life. I'm taking time now. I need to figure some things out. How long? Andrea asked. As long as it takes. Paige spoke for the first time. As long as what takes? Lawson looked at his children. As long as it takes to become someone they could be proud of. Finn looked up from his pasta. You don't have to do that for us. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it because I don't like who I was. I want to be better. Are you seeing a therapist? Paige asked. Direct, as always. Every day. Good. You should be. Dinner continued. Easier now. Conversation flowed. The children told stories. Owen and Oscar made everyone laugh with a story about their school play. Freya demonstrated a ballet position right there in the restaurant. Faye explained the plot of her mystery book in intricate detail. Lawson listened. Just listened. Learned their voices, their mannerisms. The way Finn gestured when he was excited. How Felix smiled into his plate when something was funny. Freya's loud laugh. Faye's quiet observations. His children. Real. Complete. Whole. Without him. After dinner, dessert came. Chocolate cake. Ice cream. The children devoured it. Sugar everywhere. Ramona wiped faces. Helen helped. Andrea cut Owen's cake into smaller pieces. Family. This was family. Messy. Loud. Sweet. Lawson had missed it all. Every chaotic, beautiful moment. When dinner ended, Ramona gathered the children. Time to go home. School tomorrow. They groaned. Universal kid response. Ramona smiled. I know. But second grade won't teach itself. Say goodbye. The children hugged their grandmother. Long, tight hugs. Helen whispered something to each of them. Probably I love you. Probably see you soon. They hugged Andrea and Paige. High-fived Owen and Oscar. Then they stood in front of Lawson. Uncertain. Thanks for coming to dinner, Finn said formally. Thank you for letting me come. We'll see you again, right? Felix asked. If you want to see me, yes, absolutely. Okay, good. Freya waved. Faye said, Bye, Lawson. They left. Ramona gave him one last look. Not friendly, not hostile, just assessing, watching to see if he'd keep showing up. He would. He had to. Helen stood up, smoothed her dress, looked at her son. Walk with me. It wasn't a question. They walked through the lobby, out into the cold Philadelphia night. Helen was silent for a block. Then two. Finally, she spoke. I'm still angry with you. I know. What you did was unforgivable. I know. But those children are my grandchildren, and they've decided to give you a chance, so I have to support that, even though I'm furious. Even though part of me wants to never speak to you again. Helen stopped walking, turned to face him. Don't waste this, Lawson. Those children are precious. They're smart and kind and brave. They're giving you something you don't deserve. A second chance. If you waste it, if you hurt them again, you won't just lose them. You'll lose all of us. Do you understand? I understand. Do you? Because you've always put yourself first. Your company, your success, your ego. Can you really put 4 children first? Can you really sacrifice your needs for theirs? I don't know, Lawson admitted, but I'm going to try. Every day, for the rest of my life. I'm going to try. Helen's eyes filled with tears. That's all I needed to hear. That you'll try. She hugged him. Brief, stiff, but a hug. Prove it. Prove you've changed. Show me the son I thought I raised. She went back into the hotel, left Lawson on the sidewalk. Philadelphia traffic rushed past. People walked by with their lives, their families, their normal Tuesday evenings. Lawson stood there and made a promise. To himself, to his children, to the universe. He would show up. Every time, every day, for as long as they'd let him. And he would earn the right to be called their father. Now, if you're still with me, if this story is hitting you in the heart, I need you to do something. Hit that like button. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Because we're almost at the end, and the ending will show you whether people can really change. Drop a comment. Tell me, do you believe in second chances? Do you believe Lawson can become the father those children deserve? Let me know, and make sure you're subscribed to Love and Twilights with Dr. Phillips, because the stories we tell here matter. They teach us. They change us. Now, let me show you what happened next. 6 months passed. The hardest 6 months of Lawson's life, but also the best. He flew to Philadelphia every weekend, sometimes twice a week. He never missed. Not once. Board meetings got rescheduled. Business trips got canceled. His company ran without him. Turned out he wasn't as essential as he thought. The visits were supervised at first. 2 hours at a museum. 2 hours at a park. 2 hours at a library. Always public. Always with Ramona watching. Slowly the children warmed to him. Finn started emailing him questions about his robot. Lawson would research answers. Send detailed responses. Sometimes they'd video chat about engineering problems. Felix sent him drawings. Lawson framed every single one. Hung them in his apartment. His walls filled with dragons and forests and fantastical creatures. Freya invited him to her ballet recital. He sat in the audience next to Helen and cried when she performed. She was beautiful. graceful, strong. After, he gave her flowers. She hugged him. Brief, careful, but a hug. Faye recommended books for him to read, mystery novels. He read every one. They discussed the plots, who the killer was, what clues they missed. She started looking forward to their book talks. By March, Ramona agreed to unsupervised visits. 2 hours became 4. 4 became 6. He took them to science museums, art galleries, the zoo, normal kid activities. By April, they came to New York to visit him, saw his modest apartment, noticed the drawings on the wall, the photos he'd started collecting, evidence that he was building them into his life. Helen visited Philadelphia every month, sometimes twice. She was making up for lost time. The children called her every Sunday. FaceTime. She was grandma now, fully, completely. Andrea and Paige visited too, brought their families. The cousins played together. Bonds formed. A family grew, not the traditional kind, but family nonetheless. In May, Finn's science fair happened. Lawson flew to Philadelphia, sat in the school gym with Ramona and Helen, watched Finn present his solar-powered water purification system. First place. The judges were unanimous. Finn's face when they called his name, pure joy. He looked into the audience, found his mom first, always his mom, then his grandma, his aunts, and Lawson. "That's my son," Lawson whispered, not shouting this time, not claiming, just acknowledging, grateful. After, Finn ran to his mother, hugged her. "I won." "You did, baby. I'm so proud of you." Then Finn turned to Lawson. Did you see my presentation? I saw everything. You were incredible. I'm going to regionals next month. Will you come?" "Absolutely. Just tell me when and where." Finn smiled, genuine, warm, cool. That night, they all went to dinner. Ramona, Helen, Andrea and Wesley, Paige and Ruth, Owen and Oscar, the Quadruplets, Lawson, a big table, lots of noise, kids talking over each other, adults laughing. Chaos, beautiful chaos. At one point, Faye climbed into the chair next to Lawson. She'd been sitting with her mom, but she moved. "Hi," she said. "Hi, can I ask you something? Anything? Are you going to keep coming? After we're not new anymore? After the excitement wears off?" Lawson looked at this 7-year-old, this wise, careful child who protected her heart because she'd learned early that people leave. "I'm going to keep coming," he said. "Even when it's not exciting, even when it's boring, even when you don't want me there, I'm going to show up every time. I promise." Promises are just words. You're right. So watch what I do, not what I say, okay? Faye nodded, slid back to her original seat. But she'd asked. She was testing, watching for evidence. He would give her evidence. Every day, every week, every year. 1 year after the helicopter, 1 year after Christmas exploded his life. Another Christmas arrived. Helen hosted again, her Connecticut estate, but different this time. Lawson arrived early, helped set up. He'd become useful, learned how to set a table, hang decorations, wrap presents without them looking terrible. The Quadruplets arrived at noon, not in a helicopter this time. Helen had driven to Philadelphia and picked them up. They'd spent the night, had breakfast together, normal grandma time. They burst through the door, 8 years old now, taller, more confident. "Lawson!" Freya ran over, hugged him without hesitation. "We're here." "I see that. How was the drive?" "Good. Grandma let us play our music." "Did she?" Helen came in behind them. "It was mostly Broadway soundtracks. I didn't suffer too much." The kids scattered, exploring, visiting their aunts, playing with their cousins. Lawson watched them, his children, still not fully his, maybe never fully his, but part of his life now, woven in. Ramona arrived an hour later. She'd driven separately, always maintaining some distance, some boundary. She was cordial with Lawson, polite, Kyo parents, nothing more. That was okay. He didn't need her forgiveness. He needed his children's trust. That was enough. Christmas dinner was loud, happy, 3 generations around one table, Helen at the head. Her children and grandchildren surrounding her, everyone she loved in one place. After dinner, presents. The kids tore through wrapping paper. Lawson had bought appropriate gifts this time. Science kit for Finn. Art supplies for Felix. Ballet warm-up clothes for Freya. Book series for Faye. Thoughtful, personal, not expensive, just right. Then Finn handed him a wrapped box. This is from all of us. You got me a present? Mom said we should, if we wanted to. Lawson opened it carefully. Inside, a frame, a photo, the 6 kids. Owen, Oscar, Finn, Felix, Freya, Faye, all together at Thanksgiving, smiling, happy. Below the photo, text. Our family. Lawson couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. Do you like it? Felix asked. I love it. I'll put it in my apartment, where I can see it every day. We made one for Grandma too, Faye said. And Aunt Andrea. And Aunt Paige. Family. They considered him family now. Not a father yet. Maybe never that title, but family. That was more than he deserved. That evening, as people were leaving, Finn pulled Lawson aside. Can I ask you something? Always. Why did you really come back, after missing 7 years? Why not just stay away? Lawson knelt down. Eye level. Honestly, I came back because I was trying to prove something. I wanted to show your mom I was successful. I wanted to win. It was selfish and stupid. But you stayed, Finn said. You keep coming. That's different. I stayed because I realized I'd thrown away the most important thing. You, your brother, your sisters. I can't get back the years I missed. But maybe I can be here for the years ahead. If you'll let me. Finn was quiet for a moment. You're doing better. You show up. You remember things we tell you. You don't make promises you can't keep. I'm trying. I know. We see it. Finn paused. I think maybe someday I could call you Dad. Not yet. But maybe someday. Tears burned Lawson's eyes. Whenever you're ready. Or never. I'll be here either way. Finn nodded. Ran off to join his siblings. Lawson stood in his mother's house. Watched his family. His mother laughing with her grandchildren. His sisters playing a game with their kids. Ramona talking to Ruth about art. His life looked nothing like it had a year ago. He'd lost his penthouse. His Bentley. His status symbols. His trophy girlfriend. His ego. He'd gained something infinitely more valuable. Connection. Purpose. Love. His company was still successful. Still worth billions. But it didn't define him anymore. 4 children defined him now. 4 people he was learning to love. To serve. To show up for. Dr. Martinez had been right. Real change required sacrifice. He'd sacrificed his old life. His old self. The man who valued winning over people. And he'd become someone new. Someone better. Someone those 4 children might someday be proud of. As families left, heading home through the snow, Lawson helped clean up. Packed leftovers. Washed dishes. Made himself useful. Helen came into the kitchen. Handed him a dish towel. You've changed. I'm trying. No, you have. I see it. The way you are with them. The way you listen. The way you put them first. You've actually changed. It's the most important thing I've ever done. More important than your company. So much more important. The company will exist after I'm gone. But those kids, they'll carry pieces of me forward. The good pieces, I hope. If I do this right. Helen hugged him. You're doing it right. Keep going. That night, Lawson took the train back to the city. His apartment waited. Small. Modest. But full. Full of drawings and photos and evidence of children he loved. He put the framed photo they'd given him on his nightstand. Our family. He'd see it first thing every morning. Last thing every night. A reminder of what he almost lost. Of what he'd been given. Of what he had to protect. He opened his laptop. Sent an email to Finn, Felix, Freya, and Faye. Thank you for today. Thank you for letting me be part of your Christmas. Thank you for giving me a second chance. I know I didn't earn it. But I promise I'll spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of it. Love, Lawson. He hit send. Closed his laptop. Turned off the light. Tomorrow, he'd wake up and do it again. Show up. Be present. Prove through actions, not words, that he'd changed for the rest of his life. However long they'd let him, he would be there, because that's what fathers do. Real fathers. Not perfect fathers, just present ones. And Lawson Tate was finally learning to be present. So let me leave you with this. If Lawson's story taught you anything, let it be this. Success isn't what you build, it's who you show up for. It's not about winning, it's about being there when it matters. Lawson tried to humiliate his ex-wife and ended up humiliating himself. But he got something better than victory. He got transformation. He got a second chance. Now, what are you doing with your chances? What relationships have you neglected? What have you sacrificed on the altar of success? Who needs you to show up? Hit that like button right now if this story changed something in you. Subscribe to Love and Twilights with Dr. Phillips for more stories that matter, stories that teach, stories that transform. Drop a comment and tell me your story. Tell me about a time you chose wrong but got a second chance. Tell me about forgiveness, about change, about becoming better. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that it's never too late to change, that showing up matters, that love is a verb, not a feeling. I'm Dr. Phillips. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Remember, the best time to start showing up was yesterday. The second best time is right now. Go. Show up. Be present. Love loudly. I'll see you in the next story.